Afternoon. Welcome to this afternoon's map discussion. We have some weather going on, obviously. A frontal system that's draped across the Ohio River Valley, not bringing too much of anything, and a surface low in the northern Gulf of Mexico, bringing some rain to northern Florida right now, and some snow across the Dakotas. I mean, temperatures up here are absolutely cold. 2 degrees. 2 degrees. And I was here complaining about 40-degree weather. Going up a little bit further in the atmosphere, we have analyzed at 7 a.m. Eastern Time a low-level cyclone over southern Canada with some very, very cold air across parts of south central Canada, bleeding into the northern parts of the United States. Mainly the upper Mississippi River Valley, with some enhanced flow across the Midwest into perhaps the western part of New England, with some high pressure across the Intermountain West and into the Pacific Northwest. And going up a little bit further in the atmosphere, probably about halfway. The winds really start to kick up, especially across the Mid-Atlantic region. But you have the another upper level or a mid-level low that's analyzed just to the north of Duluth, Minnesota at 7 a.m. with a trail of trophiness. That's a technical term. Extending from that low into the desert southwest. And our height falls are mainly just in the southeastern part of Canada and the northern part of the United States, as well as the just off the coast of California. These are where you could see some clouds and rain in these areas, as well as a surface cyclone, a surface low pressure center, perhaps. Not necessarily, but it's true, because you have height falls, and height falls tend to give rise to rising motion of air. And rising motion of air, you create a vacuum, so the atmosphere does not like imbalances, so it tries to offset that imbalance by convergence at the surface, and convergence at the surface helps to create low pressure centers because of the vacuum that's produced. But so that's pretty much a little bit of meteorology about this map. And where the blue shading is, that's where you have some rising motion or synoptic scale motion. So here's that rising motion in the model. Specifically, this is the GFS. You have that surface low pressure with some very light precipitation, and that low pressure down in the northern Gulf of Mexico, creating some precipitation across the northern parts of the Gulf of Mexico and into the southern parts of the United States, especially across the Florida Panhandle. But as we move forward, high pressure from Canada with that very cold surface temperatures pretty much slides into the eastern part of the United States. Another little surface low develops in the Gulf of Mexico. And typically, if you live somewhere on the eastern seaboard or east of the Mississippi River, a low in the northern Gulf of Mexico means potential for some snowstorms. But this pattern that we're in, or that we have been shoved into, is bringing those high pressures very far south again. And when that happens, these low pressures, this low pressure is forecast to be over southern Florida. And that means that the precipitation field is way too far south, which means it's removed from the cold air. So no precipitation in cold air, no winter storm. But then again, no winter storm, no headaches. So I guess it just depends on how you look at it. Meanwhile, a clipper system tracks across southern Canada into the northern Great Lakes, bringing perhaps some snow showers across southern Canada and into the northern parts of the Rocky Mountains. And then a surface low then develops. This is Saturday, January 18th. It looks like at least the GFS phases this clipper system with this low pressure center across the southern plains, mid-south, and creates what kind of happened with the winter storm over the eastern parts of the United States last week, and creates another shield of precipitation that stretches the length or height or width of the United States into southern Canada. However, the difference in this case is that models continue to be too warm. Well, this is the GFS, and this is really one of the solutions that really latch on to that phasing quite early. The Euro model, at least the 0Z Euro model, does not have any phasing, but the GFS does. So whether or not that will happen is to be determined right now. I mean, this is going into this weekend, but this is supposed to bring, again, some precipitation across the Florida Panhandle and really fizzle out across the eastern part of the United States. And just as the cold air arrives, we have this reemergence of a surface low, maybe perhaps getting some moisture back into the cold air region. This solid purple line is traditionally the rain snow line. So you got some pretty hefty snowfall potentially in the mid-Atlantic, and even into the northeast, the New England, southern New England. This might become the track right now is suggesting some type of nor'easter, but this is 7 days out, so a lot's going to change here. The winter time, these models, they don't really do well so far out in advance. So this is pretty much in la la land at this point. But after that, you got high pressure centers leaking into the United States again, and then another opportunity going into January 22nd of perhaps another winter storm for somebody. But again, we're 216 hours out. I mean, this is also, if 168 was La La Land, then 216 is La La Land for sure. And what I mean by that is this is going to change. That's all I'm trying to say. But what can we tell from this model run? Even though it's one model run from one model, what can we guess what's going to happen? One of the things is that cold air is going to be filtering back into the United States. So this is the mean 2-meter temperature anomaly, averaged over 5-day periods. In this case, it's the 13th through the 18th, and this is from the ensemble prediction system of the Euro model. So this is a collection of models, but just because we looked at one model in the GFS and looked at precipitation fields and whatnot, and things like that are going to change, what's not probably going to change, or what we can say is more confident, is where these air masses will tend to be. And this is what this map shows. So the blue is colder than average air. The warm colors are the warmer than average air temperatures. And as we push this forward between the 16th and the 21st, cold air starts to build in across the Intermountain West. And this will, with some degree of confidence, looks like it's going to overspread the entirety of the United States, with maybe a couple of exceptions out in the Pacific West and into southern Canada. Some very cold air, at least for this time of year, especially in North Dakota, northern parts of Minnesota, and the UP of Michigan and Wisconsin, and in the Front Range. That is also what the GFS had, even though the specifics of what happens to those storms and how they evolve That will definitely change, but what won't change as much is this cold air mass taking up residence across eastern parts of North America. So, whenever you have cold air in place with that much and for that long, something's bound to happen. So, this is what we would call a model signal for future winter storms. Now, that might not affect everybody in the cold air because this is a 5-day average. You're going to have little warm ups that last 30 minutes just in time for rain to fall. But, the pattern seems to suggest that some winter storms or winter weather will be more likely from, the midpoint of the month onward. Somewhere in the east, there'll be a pretty good snowstorm for somebody. But if anything changes, I will make sure I update you. But this does it for this video. I hope y'all are staying safe in the snow, and if you still have any on the ground. But I will see you in the next one.